Are you curious on how Chinese EVs are taking the lead in the global market? With their impressive range, advanced tech and affordability, they are making Western brands look outdated. Let's explore how these electric vehicles are changing the game and why it's a wake-up call for the West. The first thing that sets Chinese EVs apart from Western ones is the technology inside them. China has made incredible advancements, especially when it comes to the batteries. You know how the batteries are the most crucial part of an electric car. Well, China has mastered the production of a type of battery called lithium iron phosphate batteries. These are cheaper to make, last longer, and are safer than the lithium-ion batteries still used in many Western EVs. Thanks to these batteries, Chinese cars can be produced at a lower cost, which means they can sell for much less while offering good performance. If you ever looked at the price of a Tesla or another Western electric car and thought, "That's just too expensive," you're not alone. The cost of Western EVs is a huge challenge. In contrast, Chinese automakers like BYD and Xpeng are producing electric cars that are thousands of dollars cheaper. This is mainly because China controls much of the battery supply chain. From the mining of rare earth minerals like lithium to the final assembly of the cars, they have everything locked down. Controlling the supply chain means lower costs, which ultimately means more affordable cars for everyday people. But it's not just about the batteries. The tech inside Chinese EVs is also highly advanced. Chinese automakers have been working closely with technology companies like Huawei and Baidu to integrate artificial intelligence into their cars. This means that some Chinese EVs have very advanced features like semi-autonomous driving. Imagine driving a car that can almost drive itself, using cutting-edge AI systems that can navigate roads, avoid accidents, and even learn how to make better driving decisions over time. While Tesla has been a leader in this space for a while, Chinese brands are catching up fast, and in some cases, they are already surpassing the level of technology found in Western cars. You might be wondering how China got so far ahead in the first place. A big part of the answer is government support. Unlike in the West, where market forces often drive change, the Chinese government took a very active role in pushing the country towards electric vehicles. More than a decade ago, they started giving huge subsidies to companies that made electric cars. These subsidies allowed companies like NIO, BYD and Xpeng to grow quickly without worrying too much about immediate profits. On top of that, the government also built the world's largest EV charging network. This means that in China, you don't have to worry about running out of charge because there are charging stations practically everywhere, even in more rural areas. In contrast, many Western countries, particularly the US, have been slow to make similar moves. Gasoline-powered SUVs and trucks still dominate the market, and EVs are seen as more of a niche product. There is also a bit of a cultural difference. In the US, bigger vehicles like trucks and SUVs have long been popular, and these types of vehicles have historically been powered by gasoline. The shift to smaller, more fuel-efficient electric cars has been much slower, and American automakers like Ford and General Motors have been hesitant to fully commit to electric vehicles. Even though the tide is starting to turn, with companies announcing new electric models, they are still years behind Chinese automakers in terms of production and sales. So why has China been so aggressive in pursuing electric vehicles? A big reason is that they want to reduce their reliance on foreign oil. China imports a lot of oil, and being dependent on other countries for such an important resource has been long seen as a vulnerability. By investing heavily in electric cars, China is reducing its need for oil and at the same time becoming a leader in clean energy. The country also wants to reduce pollution in its cities, many of which have struggled with severe air quality problems. Electric vehicles are a key part of that solution. China's approach to electric vehicles is vastly different from the West. While the US and Europe have taken a more hands-off stance with only limited incentives like tax credits, China has invested heavily in its EV industry. This includes massive government support, infrastructure development, and coordinated policies that drive growth. In contrast, the lack of a unified strategy in the West has left them trailing behind. Governments in Europe and the US are only just beginning to recognize the urgency of the situation and the need for serious investment and planning. If they want to catch up, they'll have to adopt a more aggressive approach, learning from China's success and building a robust EV ecosystem. The race is on, and time is running out for the West to step up its game. When it comes to the future of the EV industry, batteries are going to be a huge part of the story. Chinese companies like CATL are leading the way in battery production, and that gives them a massive advantage. Western automakers are finding themselves in a tough spot because even if they want to produce more electric cars, they rely heavily on Chinese batteries. The US and Europe simply don't have the same level of control over the supply chain. This makes it harder for them to reduce costs and scale up production quickly. At the same time, Chinese companies are already thinking about the next big thing in battery technology. Solid-state batteries, which are more energy-dense and safer than current batteries, are being researched heavily in China. If they crack the code on this technology first, it will give them an even bigger lead over Western automakers. Solid-state batteries could be a game-changer, allowing electric cars to go even further on a single charge and making them even cheaper to produce. It's not just about cars either. China is also leading the way when it comes to electric buses and two-wheelers like electric bike and scooters. In many Chinese cities, electric buses are already replacing diesel-powered ones, which helps to reduce both pollution and fuel costs. Meanwhile, many Western cities are still struggling with outdated public transportation systems that rely on fossil fuels. By making the shift to electric transportation early, China is reducing pollution and positioning itself as a global leader in clean energy. So how are Chinese EV companies expanding globally, and why are they focusing on certain regions? Well, Chinese automakers have set their sight on Europe and Southeast Asia as key markets for their electric vehicles. In some parts of Europe, Chinese EVs are already outscaling local brands, largely because they are much cheaper and offer similar levels of technology. For example, in Norway, which is one of the most electric car-friendly countries in the world, Chinese brands like BYD and Xpeng are becoming more common on the roads. Western automakers, on the other hand, are struggling to compete because their cars are often more expensive and slower to reach these markets. This expansion into global markets isn't just about selling more cars. It's about solidifying China's position as the world leader in electric vehicles. By exporting affordable high-tech EVs to other countries, China is making sure that its automakers stay competitive on the global stage. Western automakers, by comparison, are still largely focused on their home markets, which could limit their growth in the long run. The big question is, there are signs that they are starting to wake up to the challenge. In the US, for example, the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act includes significant funding for domestic EV production and charging infrastructure. Europe is also ramping up its efforts, with new regulations aimed at speeding up the transition to electric vehicles. But whether these efforts will be enough to close the gap remains to be seen. If Western automakers want to compete, they will need to not only innovate but also rethink their entire approach to manufacturing and infrastructure. It's clear that the EV race is far from over, but for now, China is in the driver's seat, and it will take a lot of effort from the West to catch up. In the end, it's not just about who can build the best car, it's about who can make electric cars affordable, accessible, and technologically advanced enough for everyone. China has shown that with the right combination of government support, technological innovation, and control over the supply chain, it's possible to lead the way in the transition to electric vehicles. The rest of the world will need to step up if they want to keep pace. As Chinese EVs continue to outpace their Western counterparts, it's clear that innovation and strategy matter. The West needs to step up or risk being left behind in the race for electric supremacy. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of the latest updates. Do let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We will see you guys next time.